So Jim Jordan tries again this morning to cobble together the 217 he needs, falling 20 votes short, or falling 17 votes short
20,
yesterday. 20 votes short.
20.
That was down from 55 initially when he was nominated. So they're making progress, but the question is, can he get over the hump with moderates who are in districts that Biden won and a little jumpy, and people that have a bad taste in their mouth as to how the House Republicans got to this place, the deposing of Kevin McCarthy that was led by Matt Gaetz. Can he do that, or are we going to have to do some sort of deal to expand the powers of Patrick, give me McLiberty or give me McDeath, McHenry? I don't know.
It's
But,
getting a little old.
If spending is the issue, why, I said this from the beginning, why not come around and unify around a vision for spending? The old Tabor, the old penny plan that has been bouncing around D.C., and with Tabor, Taxpayer Bill of Rights, the capping spending such that it cannot grow at the inflation or population growth, whichever is lower on an annualized basis, that proved pretty successful for Bill Owens back in the day when he was governor of Colorado, and other reform-minded governors who pursued those sort of real spending caps. Maybe that's something that Republicans could resuscitate and rally around, moderates and hardliners alike. But that's not where we're at. So how do we get to the place they need to be? For more on this, Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author, joins us. Steve, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys.
So tell us how this plays out with the House Republicans as it seems to get more and more absurd with each passing day.
The hell if I know.
Yeah.
This is just a certain. We have a cartoon in our hotline today. It just shows all the members of the House, on the House floor, while wearing clown outfits because they're looking like a bunch of clowns right now. The latest, Dan and Amy, and this is going to make you sick. At least makes me sick. Is that the only way that it looks like the Republicans can get these 4, 5, or 6 House Republicans from New York is to bring back this state and local tax deduction, which basically subsidizes high taxes in states like Illinois. Now, some of your listeners may like this idea because you guys are in Illinois where you have very high taxes, but it's a crazy policy because it just rewards politicians in New York and New Jersey and California and Illinois to keep raising their taxes because then the federal government will pick up the tab for that, or at least a share of it. By the way, this would be the biggest tax cut for rich people in the history of the United States. Gee, I didn't think, that the liberals wanted tax cuts for the rich, but they do when it's their own, millionaires and billionaires. So is that detestable that they said, well, we'll only vote for a Republican for speaker if they bring back this crazy tax deduction? That's how crazy things have become in Washington right now. The latest I'm hearing is that my friend Jim Jordan, who I think would be an exceptional speaker, I love Jim Jordan. I like Steve Scalise a lot, too. I thought he would be a great speaker. It looks like Jordan will not have the votes today to get to 217. And it looks like, I think you said it well, Dan, that Patrick McHenry, who's, I've known Patrick for years. In fact, I helped elect him in his first race. He's from North Carolina. Good guy, but, he's not a superstar. And so he won't be, a star. Now, the other point you made was about this out of control spending. And it's going to go up, folks. The debt is going to go up even further. Now we're going to have to spend tens and tens of billions, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars on this war that's erupting in the Middle East. Thanks, Joe Biden, for an idiotic energy policy that took money away from our domestic producers and gave it to Hamas and the terrorists. That's how they've been funded. So none of this makes sense. And then the Fed is going to have to figure out, gee, with the deficit going way up, are we going to have to raise interest rates again? It's a ugly situation.
And 3 weeks from now, you've got the prospect of another shutdown theater
Yep. Yep.
episode, or going to an omnibus deal. I mean, so it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, again, the posture of Matt Gaetz and company with respect to unleashing all of this.
Yeah. It
There
was
should be a
bad,
there.
bad play.
Yeah, it's a terrible play, right? Terrible play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I
Well,
don't know. I'm just very frustrated with the whole thing because this is a tumultuous time and a dangerous time for the country. And we don't have a leader. We don't have a president. Let's face it. We don't really have a president. And so, it's very frustrating to me. And we've made a lot of bad decisions as a country. And we got to stop this. And you're right, Dan. I love the idea, but let's put a hard spending cap on. If we just went back to the amount of money we were spending before COVID, we could balance the damn budget. But we're $2 trillion away from that. And what they did, just so your listeners understand, is they spent all this money during COVID, for the crisis, and they said, well, we want to keep spending this money.
well, right. I mean, the whole point here is to keep this thing on autopilot, and if you can have House Republicans abdicating control of the chamber they control, then it makes it that much easier. I don't understand why there's not some public calling out that, Gates, yes, I'm calling out. I mean, and maybe this is the play Jordan should make. I offered this up as a suggestion for McCarthy back in the day. Look, Gates, we shouldn't have got to this place. I supported McCarthy. We're here now. So I'll support McCarthy again. Or here's the thing, Gates and company, you have got to come to the table, and Jimenez and company, you've got to come to the table, and let's rally around reining in runaway spending with something like the penny plan or something like a federal Tabor, and let's focus on that, and let's challenge the American people. We're unified around these big ideas, and if you want these big ideas to be advanced, you need to change out the leadership of the Senate and the presidency, and that's what we're focused on. We're focused on this framework and going forward.
You are so naive, Dan. You seem to be under the impression that Republicans want to cut spending. They don't.
I know,
I don't want to burst anybody's bubble. The Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats on this stuff. They want to spend money. They don't want to cut the budget. I could probably count on my fingers and my toes the number of Republicans who actually want to cut government spending. And I look, I don't want to ruin people's day. I know, Republicans are so fiscally responsible. No, they're not.
I know. I think certainly most of our listeners understand this. I mean, we've seen Republicans in Illinois and how they behave, so we get it. But the point.
Maybe Amy could tell us how we can get.
Well, but wait a second. The point is, everybody pretends to be a fiscal conservative.
Right.
So if you make it public rather than allowing them to murmur it behind closed doors, if you make it public, then at least there's some accountability. You're on the record, and it's something that everybody takes as a rhetorical position, and then you're sort of compel unification, even if it's somewhat phony.
Good. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just saying I wouldn't hold my breath and think we're going to have a wonderful outcome here.
No, I'm not.
Well, how long is this madness going to go on?
Yeah.
Until Hakeem Jeffries is speaker.
Right. I mean, is that the end game? My God, they got to get it together.
I honestly don't know. I think Dan was probably right that we're going to end up with the kind of the least common denominator here, and that is the fellow from North Carolina, who is, he's not a superstar. Let's put it like that. And but look, you got to get a new president. I'd like to see a Republican really talk about cutting government spending. I love Donald Trump. I worked for Donald Trump. I think he was a great president. But I'll be honest with you, Trump doesn't want to cut spending. And now I had dinner last night, guys, with Doug Burgum, the North Dakota senator.
Yeah,
this guy wants to cut spending. He did it. He cut 27% out of the budget in North Dakota because he's a businessman. He knows how to trim budgets. The whole ethic is wrong in Washington right now. Every incentive is just to spend and spend and spend money. And Republicans want to spend more money on defense. They want to give all this money to Ukraine. Now, I know people listening to the show have very different opinions about whether that's the right thing or wrong thing to do. I'm against it, but I don't know what your guys' position is. But if we're going to give money to Ukraine, and if we're going to spend more money on Israel, then let's cut somewhere else.
I wanted to turn to some good news, and the good news is that,
Hear that.
yeah, well, good news. I mean, from Nobel laureate, you don't have a Nobel Prize, Paul Krugman does, and Paul Krugman says basically, if you exclude the things people actually buy, inflation's over. So
Oh, you
that's
mean
that's
like
good
all
news.
the food and gas and all that? Yeah.
Groceries, so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
It's a great story. We had this in our hotline the other day where, Krugman said, "Oh, we've won the war against inflation. If you exclude, mortgages, rents, food, electricity, your gas prices, everything else is stable in price, And as Amy, we've talked about this week after week. You just go to the grocery store and you see what things cost for ground beef or eggs or milk or Cocoa Krispies, and you see, that things are about twice as expensive as they were 4 years ago.
No, but I always thought that there was a correlation between gas prices and
Yes.
the products we buy. Gas prices have gone down here a lot, and it is not reflective in the grocery store yet.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
there's a
I
lag.
can't leave without spending at least $150, and I used to spend when my kids were home was $400.
So I
a
don't
week.
want to ruin your morning, Amy,
Yes.
but it looks like my prediction is because of what's going on in the Middle East right now, and you're going to start to see some of these oil fields getting bombed and things like that, that the price of oil is going to go back up to $100 a barrel. Then we're back at $5 a gallon gas. And, so it's so crazy because, you go back to when Trump was president and we didn't have these problems. Whether you like Trump or not, he was tough on Iran. We've put $40 billion into the hands of the Iranians by not producing more oil and gas here. $40 billion. How much of that money do you think went to Hamas?
Yeah, I want to just on the issue of inflation, though, too. You remember that guy from back in the day? He ran for governor of New York. He wore gloves for some reason. His name was Jimmy McMillan. He was the representative of the Rent is Too Damn High party.
Rent, it's too damn high.
That guy. This report out. 55% of households in the Big Apple in New York City spend a majority of their income on rent. I mean, yeah.
I believe it.
I mean, that's just
55%. Yeah.
yeah. Spend half their income on rent.
It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. I mean, mortgage rates are now running 7.5%. They were 3% under Trump. That means, that you're going to probably pay, rather than say $2,000 a month in mortgage payments, you're going to pay $3,500 a month. By the way, Amy, these kinds of things aren't really figured into the inflation numbers. That's why people are so angry. I mean, people are financially stressed out. They're angry because they feel like the government is lying to us. And we borrowed so much money. Now we have a crisis in Israel. We've got the prices. We got China might move on Taiwan. It's a dangerous world. And we need a leader in this country. We don't have a leader. I mean, it's embarrassing to watch Biden in Israel. I mean, it's just he's hardly able to get a sentence out. Who's Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom will be our savior.
Gavin, yeah, that Gavin Newsom Ron DeSantis debate is coming up.
Crush on him.
Yeah. By the way, I read that slightly wrong. It's a third of New York City households spend more than 50%, but 55% are quote unquote rent burden, meaning they spend more than 30% of their income on rent. I mean, that's just unsustainable. And think about these upwardly mobile professionals and white collar jobs that are saving zero because they're paying $6,000 in rent for 800 square feet. It's just
it's happening all over the country. I mean, it's and even in the Chicagoland area, you're probably seeing a lot of people in that same situation.
No question.
And you know why, by the way? Because of government restrictions on building new homes and building new apartments. So, isn't it interesting the government is at the root of almost every one of these problems?
Well, of course, rent control in New York, of course, the classic. Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Maybe I could be the Speaker of the House. You don't have to
go
be
advocate for yourself.
Maybe Dad could be.
Throw your hat in the ring. Get over there. Get over to the Capitol right now.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Thanks,
Bye.
you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Or you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
By the Hand Club for Kids exists to help children who live in under-resourced neighborhoods have abundant life. God is transforming our city through By the Hand.